Hello, everyone. It is an exciting day because, ladies and gents, it is a huge double new release day, arguably one of the most exciting days of this fall gaming season. I'm going to talk all about my day off, my final thoughts on Sonic Superstars, of course, the big hype for today's two big new releases, Spider-Man 2 as well as Super Mario Wonder, and a lot more on today's Level 1 podcast. Good morning and welcome to the show, everyone. I'm DSP, and as you can see, I am all Mario'd out for today's big new releases. I'm very excited. I hope that you all are as well. One of the biggest gaming days in a while with a double new release that I would argue today's new releases are of pretty equal stature. They may be for completely different gaming audiences, but that does not mean that they are not equally interesting, enjoyable, and hype games. Now, all we can hope for today is that hopefully they're both good. Because earlier this week, I had a similar reaction to the release of Sonic Superstars. I got all excited, and it felt like it was a complete waste of hype and time. I really hope that these games at least live up somewhat to the expectations that have been laid out for them. The way I see it, as long as these games are at least as good as the previous iterations, there's going to be a good thing. And that was kind of the problem with Sonic Superstars we're going to talk about today, is that when you basically get to a point where you're an established franchise, you always have to be adding or improving. You can't be taking steps back, and I think that's what the major problem is with Sonic Superstars, which we'll discuss. Also, yesterday was my day off from streaming, and it was a very interesting day. I actually got a ton of stuff done that originally wasn't planned, but my wife and I actually decided to do a bunch of stuff together. We'll talk about that today, and it's going to be a good show. Now, today, depending on how this goes, by the way, I should say, today is Friday, October 20th, 2023. It is the beginning of a 6-day streaming week for me, and the major focus this week absolutely will be Marvel Spider-Man 2, as well as Super Mario Wonder, both of which, or Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I believe is the full name, both of which released today. And I'm obviously excited for both games. I know that you guys will likely be here, different audiences, right? For those who like Marvel, for those who like Spider-Man, for those who have liked my superhero playthroughs over the years, more action-based, open world discovery, interesting kind of story. Should be a great game, should be a fun playthrough. Super Mario Wonder, I keep saying Super Mario Wonder instead of Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, wow, a retro throwback platformer. A lot of people are actually saying, get this, that Super Mario Brothers Wonder feels like the spiritual successor or sequel to Super Mario World. And when you say that, you say, wait a minute. Didn't Super Mario World actually have a sequel? If you're not aware, Super Mario World was the launch title for the Super Nintendo in the early 1990s, okay? And it was an amazing game. Like, probably the best bundle in you could ever have with any gaming console. It showed off the capabilities of the system. It had a ton of content at the time. It revolutionized what 2D platformers could do. It was the epitome of Nintendo's game design at the time. And then they made a sequel called Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and that game did not feel at all like the sequel to Super Mario World. The art style changed. The gameplay elements changed. It really was a whole different animal. It's just that they wanted to market it in a way, hoping that everyone who enjoyed Super Mario World would have bought that one. It's still a fine game, but it's nowhere near as good as Super Mario World, in my opinion. I still think, I've said this over the years, I feel Super Mario World is, to this day, the greatest platformer of all time. Yes, I still to this day feel that this is the best platformer game possible. Even though platformers have obviously advanced and gone crazy. You know, some of the more notable platformers that I can remember, Rayman Origins, which was super duper good over a decade ago, and sadly just faded into obscurity because of Ubisoft's insanely bad decisions regarding that franchise. Some of the more recent Super Mario Brothers games, again from almost a decade ago, like the Wii and Wii U versions, pretty interesting things that they did there with the 2D platforming aspect. But when you go back to the basics of, you know, a game that stood out, launch title, did everything the console was capable of, definitely Super Mario World stands out. So if you're telling me that Super Mario Brothers Wonder is the spiritual successor to Super Mario World, I think this is going to be an amazing game and playthrough. Like, I'm going to have the feels, I'm going to have nostalgia vibes all throughout my body. I love Super Mario World. So if this is the next game to feel like that for me, I mean, my God, I will absolutely love it. But again, we have to see, I guess, what happens. So I am pumped for today's new releases. By the way, the reviews for both games are stellar. Most outlets giving only the lowest score I've seen out there, I think, was an 8 for both Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So people are absolutely loving these games. Most of the complaints seem to be things like, for example, with Spider-Man 2, there's some bugs. Some graphical issues and bugs that people think will get worked out through a series of patches. But for the most part, it seems like the stories, the direction, the gameplay elements of both games are outstanding. So what an epic day, because we get two completely different styles and genres of game, each getting a new iteration, continuing on the path of greatness. And we need it. Let me tell you guys something. We absolutely need this, because this year we have had some overhyped games, overhyped games, that have just become ginormous flops. I mean, just a few come to mind. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Sonic Superstars today, but also Starfield, among other games that we've played this year. Just, they look on paper like they're going to be great. All their hype is there, and then the games come out, you're like, what the hell happened here? So it's going to be good to hopefully dive in to two really amazing releases, okay? But before we get to any of that, I feel like the first thing we should do today is to get through my Phil's Day Off segment so that you guys know what I was up to yesterday. It'll be a fun one because I have a little bit of interesting stuff to talk about today in regards to what I was doing yesterday, which actually was not a very common day for me, honestly. And then we'll get into likely recapping my thoughts on Sonic Superstars, talking a little bit of update about my Starfield playthrough, and then boom, we're into the new game hype and all of that, okay? By the way, just a quick reminder from people. Some people may be here today who normally would not come by. Perhaps you're just coming back for the first time in a while because there's two hype new releases you're excited for today. Or maybe you're just a newcomer stumbling upon the channel. Two quick things. Number one, you must be subscribed to this channel to talk in the chat. Why? Because we have a lot of idiotic people who come by with bot accounts and do a lot of nasty stuff. When I first came to YouTube full-time 2 years ago, for about a month before they had sub-only mode, it was basically untenable. It was like a really disgusting situation with the things people would say and do in the chat. Coming in with a million bot accounts, you ban them, they just keep coming. With sub-only mode, it basically keeps all of that under control. So please understand that's why we need it. I don't like sub-only mode, but you have to be subscribed to the channel for 24 hours to chat. If you're interested in these playthroughs and attending the streams and talking, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel right now, and thanks for doing so. In addition, I'll just say this up front. I am a crowdfunded individual. As you'll see, I do not have any sponsorships or partnerships. I don't have any products that I shill. There's no referral codes on my streams. I run very minimal ads on my live streams, if any. Usually I try to skip as many as possible so that way we don't need to have ads on the stream. Basically, I want to make nice content for you that's free and fun and is honest. And because I don't have any sponsorships or I don't answer to anyone, I can do that. I can literally play a new game today and tell you how good it is or how bad it is. All right? So, please consider contributing today. If you like the content of these new releases and you enjoy them, please support the streams. How do you do that? Well, you can become a member of the channel. You can gift some memberships to other fellow viewers who would absolutely appreciate that. I guarantee you today we're going to have inflated views because it's a big release day of 2 different games. A super chat or a super sticker, ways to contribute through YouTube itself, or maybe a tip. Tips are really important right now because I'm dropping a lot of money on games in the next, for this week and the next few weeks. And in addition to that, it helps me out with other stuff going on right now. My YouTube payment is actually going to be slightly delayed this month, so it helps with that. I don't want to go into massive detail about it on today's podcast, but everything's appreciated. Tips would help a lot today if possible, but anything. All right, guys, thank you so much for supporting my content. And let's now continue with a segment that you guys enjoy every week. It is called Phil's Day Off. And today I would like to tell you all about what I did yesterday. All right? So on my day off yesterday, essentially, it was going to be a more laid-back day. The week before, all right, I had gone out and done a million things. I had a bunch of appointments and different things to do. This week, the good news is I didn't have any of that, all right? But some things kind of came together that I hadn't really planned on originally, and therefore, because of that, I ended up getting a lot of stuff done, and let's talk a little bit about that. So, typically on my day off, what do? Well, usually I wake up, spend some time with my family, and then we will make like our grocery list for the week. What meals do we want to have this week? What else do we need for around the house? I'll run out, and if I need pet supplies for Jasper, we'll do that. And anything else that I need to get out when I'm out running around. For example, my wife sometimes has orders and things at places I got to go pick up while I'm out or whatever. Odds and ends, maybe you run out of something in the house. Let's get it. It's the day off. Let's go get it today, right? So really, it's an errand day. I run around doing a lot of errands on my day off, but then typically on the one day off from streaming I get a week, we order out, so that way we don't have to cook. We cook literally every other day, every other meal, so it's nice to not have to cook for one day. So that's one thing that we do, and then anything else that happens during that day. So it just so happens, yesterday was a pretty eventful day, for some good reasons and some not so good. So here's something interesting you may not realize, because it really depends on where you live. I have no idea where many of you live because you probably live all over the world, correct? Here in the United States, at least where I live in the state of Washington, and we are considered a green state. Okay, what does that mean? It means that here in our state, we do everything we can to try to be environmentally friendly and economical in that regard. Recycling is a huge deal. Disposing of certain kinds of things in certain ways is a huge deal. Other places, they're just like, just throw everything out. Go to a landfill and just throw garbage dump. Just dump everything. We don't do that here. We are very strict on the ways that things are disposed, on the ways that things are separated, all kinds of stuff like that, okay? So why am I telling you this? Is it because I went on a trip to the garbage dump this week? No, absolutely not. So, you guys may be aware of something that happened a few years ago. It was called the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And when the COVID pandemic happened, it threw a lot of things into disarray. Here in the state of Washington, we are required to separate all of our trash into the following. You ready for this? This is going to be pretty interesting. First of all, you're supposed to have standard trash, but that doesn't include food. So it's supposed to be standard trash, but no food, okay? Then you have recyclables. Recyclables include cardboard, paper, plastic, glass, but they're all supposed to be fully cleaned off and sorted and separated, okay? Then you have your compostables, meaning food waste and yard waste and things like that, and you're supposed to put that into a separate thing so that can be, composted and for again, green purposes, okay? Then, I'm not done. We're not even close to being done. Then, there's electronics. You are not allowed to dispose of certain kinds of electronics in the state of Washington. You want to throw out that old PC? Absolutely not. Do you have something that has like a small engine in it? Can't throw it out. I'm not kidding. I have an old TV that busted like from years ago, and it's still in my house. I haven't disposed of it yet because you have to go somewhere special to get rid of electronics. You can't just throw them out. Not allowed here. Okay? But the point I'm actually getting to is kind of interesting. It has nothing to do with any of those. It's the fifth kind of trash. The fifth kind of trash that we have here in the state of Washington, get this, is styrofoam. Yes, styrofoam. That product that's typically used for packaging of something else that's way more important, like an electronic or a piece of glass or whatever, to make sure it doesn't get broken in transit, okay? So why am I telling you this? Because pre-COVID, my wife and I would regularly go on we called styrofoam runs. What does that mean? You have to go to a special place that's designated as a styrofoam recycling drop-off facility. And get this, you can't just go and drop styrofoam off. You've got to have styrofoam in special bags, and you either can give them the special bags, or you need to dump all your styrofoam, and you have to make sure there's no tape on it, there's nothing else, no cardboard can be included with it. It's like, this is what they want in the state. Like, nothing can be simple. Everything's got to be like the most complex, time-consuming project you could ever think of. That's how they live here. Like, they all have time to do this shit, I guess. Anyway, so, before COVID happened, my wife and I were on top of this. It wasn't a big deal. Maybe every 2-3 months we do a styrofoam run, and we drop off one big garbage bag of styrofoam from packages and things that have arrived at the house, and that was that. But during COVID, all of 2022 and into 2020 and into 2021, I got that confused. During 2020 and into 2021, they suspended the styrofoam collection process, stating that it would be too dangerous. All that infectious styrofoam, apparently, right? You can't trust it. So they didn't collect it for like a year and a half. And then sometime in 2021, they basically started to slowly go back. And then by last year, everything was back to normal, all right? But the difference here is that we have basically been thrown out of our rhythm. And I'm not kidding you. You know, that was almost 2 years of collecting styrofoam. We had probably 3 or 4 giant garbage bags of styrofoam saved up. Well, fast forward, we haven't been to do a styrofoam run since before COVID hit. All right? So we had, I'm not shitting you, probably 8 to 9 bags of styrofoam. I'm probably, of all the area in my garage where you can walk around, I'm not shitting you, it's probably about 1/4 of my garage was full of fucking bagged styrofoam. And it just sat there because it just kept increasing more and more. It's like, when am I going to have time to take a day away and go to the styrofoam place with 9 bags of fucking styrofoam and get rid of this? All right? That was yesterday. Yes, I finally did it. I had enough. I was like, dude, this garage is in disarray, because it was. Like, the garage was kind of dirty, and other things had been kind of neglected in the garage because half of it was full of styrofoam. I can't do anything till this styrofoam's gone. So I finally had enough. So yesterday I went and I got rid of it all. It was a pain in the ass to lug it all into the car and then lug it all trip after trip out of the car into the place. But I got it done. Okay? And so, I'm not kidding you, my garage went from being insanely cluttered to pretty much open. So yesterday, my wife and I spent a good chunk of the day cleaning the garage. You know, sweeping, vacuuming. And the thing was, now this is a weird thing. My garage has ceiling lighting. What is it called? They're not neon tubes, but you know how you have those tube lights that normally would be like the ceiling of like an office or like a professional workspace, a warehouse. What are those called? Those tube lights. I don't even know what they're called. Okay? But for some odd reason, fluorescent lights. Thank you. That's what they're called. Fluorescent tubes. That's exactly what they're called. Thank you. I didn't even know the name of them. For some reason, we have those in our garage. No one else where I live has that, but we have it because the previous owners of this home, before I bought it, apparently this home was owned by a guy who was a Alaskan salmon fisherman. So for more than half the year, he didn't live here. He went to Alaska and fished salmon, and he only came back here during certain times of the off season of fishing. During the time when he wasn't here, he left the house alone with his kids, his teenage kids. So what ended up happening was they just did whatever they wanted, and I guess one of his sons was a car guy. He was heavily into cars. He loved cars and modding cars and doing all this shit to cars, and he turned the garage into an unofficial, likely illegal car modification bay / chop shop. Okay? Yeah, so really, our garage is very weird because they did all these things to it that the other garages here don't have. First of all, the whole floor's messed up. You could see that cars were in and out of here constantly. You could tell that they were doing oil changes because there's like oil stains and shit all over the floor of the garage. Like, what the hell? Like, this is a private community I live in. You're not allowed to do that. It outright states in the bylaws of the community, you cannot do that. You can't operate a business like that out of your garage having people driving in and out at all hours. It's supposed to be a private residential home. And that's in the bylaws that we live here. So they were outright just ignoring the rules of the community doing this. Okay? So we have a series of 5 different fluorescent bulb lights on the ceiling of our garage. Now, I never messed with them, but it's funny. They actually left behind this pack of 12 fluorescent bulbs unused, just sitting in the garage. They've been there for the 9 years I lived here. They just sat there. And over the time that I've lived here, there's 2 lights that go on. Whenever I flick the light switch, there's 2 big fluorescent lights that turn on. And over the years, one of them has completely busted and wasn't working. I guess the bulbs have blown out. But I couldn't replace the bulbs because that's where all of the styrofoam was sitting. So until I removed the styrofoam, I couldn't actually fix the things that were broken in the garage. So now that the styrofoam was gone, my wife and I were able to sweep, vacuum, and I went and replaced some of the bulbs. So now the garage actually looks like a livable, usable space for the first time in many, many years. And in fact, we just have a few other things. Like we have a couple like old bookcases. We have an old shower stand from our shower that doesn't work anymore. We have a few odds and ends. We have a broken fan that we need to get rid of. And eventually I'm going to take another probably trip to the garage, excuse me. Now I was thinking car garage in my head. Another trip to the dump, a special trip to get rid of all that shit. And once all that stuff's done, now we're going to actually do a like ceiling to floor cleaning of the garage. We're going to, basically be scrubbing this sucker out. We actually have a hose in the garage. We've never used it before. So we'll probably use the hose to spray the edges of the garage and scrub it all out and just make it ours. Because I've lived here for 9 years and I literally have never used the garage for much besides throwing trash and storing like paper goods and stuff like that. I don't really use it. Finally, I could probably find a reason to use it for something, but I gotta freaking get it cleaned first. So that was a big chunk of my day yesterday, was getting rid of the styrofoam and cleaning the garage. At least I got the bulbs replaced. We did a little bit of, the initial cleanings there. And now what we're waiting on is, I got to take another trip to the dump to get rid of the rest of the shit. And then once it's completely cleaned out, then we can actually fully clean it and maybe start using it for other things. Just all these things you talk about over the years, but you never got around to it. Well, maybe now we can finally get around to it. Okay? So, I guess we'll see what happens here. So, that was half of my day. Of course, I went out, I did grocery shopping, pet supply shopping, and we ordered some food. We got some Indian food for dinner last night. I got a vegetable curry. It had potatoes and peas. I can't remember what it was called, but it was pretty good. And we got veggie samosas as well. So I had a full vegetable dinner. No protein whatsoever. It was all veggies. Vegetarian dinner from a Indian restaurant. Also naan bread. You take that naan bread, you dip it in your curry, you eat. Oh my God. There is nothing else like fresh made restaurant quality naan bread in a curry. It is super duper good. I love it. So, that was absolutely delicious. And what else did we do? Well, one thing we didn't want to have to do, it's kind of annoying. So, just recently, as recent as like less than a month ago, we had changed out like everything in the house for fall. So you know how you go from summer stuff to fall stuff? So one of the things that we had done is we had completely changed out like all the bedding and everything to be more heavier bedding for the fall. Well, yesterday Jasper Kitty decided he had to barf on the bed. Well, time for a full-on cleaning. So we had to clean not only, the sheets and everything, but the comforter, the mattress pad, everything had to be fully washed. They're like, oh, man. So we have to clean all, and that, that's just an endeavor, because that's like multiple loads. You can't, our comforter is a huge comforter. You can't wash that with sheets. It clogs the actual washer up. So you got to do like first the load for the comforter, then a load for the sheets, then a load for the mattress pads. It's like washing clothes for hours and hours all day. It takes forever. So we had to do that as well. And other stuff. So it was a fun day. We ended up watching, let's see. We ended up watching one person play some Starfield. And we ended up watching another person, of all things, play some Dark Souls 3. We were just kind of bored. We're like, what do we want to do? Let's just randomly open some playthroughs and things and, see what's going on. And it's funny because, again, I keep telling you guys, I never used to watch anyone else's playthroughs. I never used to watch anyone else's playthroughs at all. Okay? Now that I actively start to watch other people's playthroughs, and by the way, we always try to watch people who are much bigger than me. Because, you're trying to absorb, okay, how do the big guys do it? How do the people who are supposedly so popular and so prominent, how do they do it different from Darkside Phil? 9 times out of 10, it's way worse than my playthrough. I'm watching this guy play Dark Souls 3. He's got the worst quality. It's like you could tell he was probably a Twitch streamer at the time in 2016. And all this is the archived Twitch stream. So it's a low-ass bitrate. And this is a prominently known streamer, known for playing Soulsborne games. And he's playing it, and it is fucking pixelated and blurry as shit. The quality is just not good. He's got a face cam, and the face cam is completely fucked up and like also low quality. His gameplay is great. Like watching the gameplay, like this guy's really good at it. You can tell he learned right away. He's doing really well. He's kicking ass. He's going through Dark Souls 3. He's just beating the tough ass enemies on the first or second try. He's one-shotting bosses. Like, okay, this guy's really good at the game, but his quality is just shit. And this is what people like. This is a guy who, back then was 10 times bigger than me. And this is what he put out. And everyone complained about me and my quality and everything, saying that my stuff sucked. And here's what this guy put out. And we're watching this other guy. He's playing Starfield. And I shit you not. All right, everyone complains about my playthroughs. This guy spends half his time dicking around in the game, doing nothing meaningful. He's not doing missions. He's fucking around. He's messing with this system. He's messing with that system. He spent like an hour trying to build a ship. It was like watching paint dry. And he's fucking going through menus trying to dick around with this and that. And it's like... and this is a guy, again, much bigger than me. This guy was one of the people... He gets all the games early. He got invited out to all these events. Gets his butt kissed by all these companies. He gets exclusive paid sponsored videos. Right? And it's the most boring fucking thing I've ever watched. We couldn't continue to watch it. We were so bored. And like this fucking guy, million view guy, right? And the fucking thing is awful. And this is what people put out. But everyone shits on me. It says my stuff sucks. Like, you're out of your fucking mind. If anything, what this proves is that I'm not saying I'm the best gamer out there. No, I'm never, not saying that at all. But when people all this time have been saying that stuff stinks or whatever, it's not true. My stuff's been decent. It hasn't been the best, but it's been decent. At very least. Especially when the people who are, million sub, million view people are not fucking doing anything above and beyond what I do at all. In any way. In fact, like I said, a lot of them are more boring or lower quality. But, I'm the one who gets fucking yelled at and told I suck and all this. Just because they're fuck faces. These are just people who are trying to bring me down. And they think that it affects me. But, it's stupid because I listened to that all these years. I really did. I listened to it and I thought, man, I guess my stuff really is low quality. Everyone else is doing something so different. And now like I said, the last couple of years... My wife and I have started watching these other content creators and streamers, and we watch them, and we're like, this is absolutely ridiculous what you're saying. They're just full of shit. That stuff is no better than mine. It's just that they're popular. They don't have a fucking crazy hater base, It's kind of wild. But, for perspective purposes, me, 3-4 streams in the Starfield, I've already completed major storylines. I'm into faction quest lines. Here's a guy, he played like 15 hours of Starfield, and he didn't even do anything. He's just fucking around, He didn't even do anything interesting. Wow, what a great playthrough, huh? Anyway, that was my day off, pretty much. I would say that covers pretty much everything that I did. Not a bad day, by any means. It was a tiring day. I will definitely say that. Because, basically, I had so much that I'd done during the day off. A lot of my days off, when it's a day where I'm not going out and doing like a bunch of appointments, I try to just stay home most of the day and just kind of relax. But I had a ton to do. We had a lot of things we were doing. But it was a productive day. It's always good to have a nice feeling of like a productive day. And also yesterday was quite warm. It was like very sunny outside, like 75 degrees. So I was glad I wasn't streaming, because it basically would have been like another day of heat in here. Today, it is only in the 60s. It is cloudy. It is wet. It is a typical autumn day, and we're supposed to have full autumn weather moving forward. I looked at the freaking, the weather schedule here, and it totally 100% looks like it is rain and clouds every single day for a week, which I'm happy with. And by the way, temperatures even cooling into the 50s during the day. So, for some of these streams coming up, I'll try to wear themed stuff. Like today, I'm wearing my Mario shirt for the premiere of Mario. I'll probably wear Mario shirts when I can, when I'm playing Mario Wonder. But outside of that, I should be able to wear fall attire again, like I did last week. A few days I had like long sleeve shirts and stuff. I should be able to do that, and I got tons. Like I have tons of stuff that I can wear now. So we are fully now, thankfully, we are fully into the gaming season. I'm very excited for this. Someone just asked, what was the streamer's commentary like? Were they funny? You want to know the truth? The streamer was pissed off because someone, like a couple people were showing up to troll about Starfield and say the game sucked when it was like 2 days into the game. So he basically went on a big rant at his audience, screaming at them, saying, if you're going to come here just to complain about the game, don't come and watch me play this game. I play other games. Come back then. I don't want to see idiots come in here and waste their time on my stream just to shit on the game. And he banned them, and he said that. Now, because the streamer did that, was there ginormous controversy? Were there thousands of videos made about how that streamer went wild on their audience and lost control and toxic to their audience? No, because they're a big streamer. So they can do whatever they want, and they get away with it because they do the same exact shit that I do. They take control of their chat, they stop trolling, and that's okay for them. But not for me. Now, if I do that, oh my God, that's the end of it. It's like the end all be all of everything. You know what I mean? But for them, that's okay. Anyway, so let's continue, everybody. Let's talk about, I want to talk about Sonic Superstars very briefly. I've already kind of talked about it when I played it. I talked about it in my daily wrap the other day, but I just want to finish up. And all I want to say is how disappointed I am with this game. And not to say that Sonic Superstars is an atrociously bad game that doesn't function or anything like that. I don't want you guys to think that this is like an absolutely awful game or anything like that. It's definitely not. All right. However, I just want to say this. All right. I am disappointed because, like I said, when you're advancing a story, or you're advancing a franchise, or you're advancing, I mean, there's the word advancing assumes you've made improvements and advancements. Okay. The one thing in Sonic Superstars that I can say is an advancement over the previous Sonic 2D platformers is the graphics. The graphics are good. They look visually appealing. In fact, one of those stages, it was the retro pixel art stage, and I forget the name of it. But that one was like really cool and innovative and had some interesting ideas. I really liked that one. All right. But outside of, the game looks pretty, I'm not kidding when I say that everything else in that game felt like an actual step back from what they had already done in the previous 2D outing, Sonic Mania. The gameplay elements weren't as good. The stages weren't as good. The music wasn't as good. The game was shorter and had a bigger price tag for the same amount of content. That's what really kills me. Is like Sonic Superstars clocks in around a 5 to 6 hour long game. I'm not kidding you. That's the game. There's an optional battle mode where you build a robot and you go online. No one cares about that shit. And there's time trials. No one cares about that shit. What we care about is the base game. All right? Are there playable characters? Yes, there are. However, all of them seem like a cheat code except for Sonic. When you play with Sonic, he's very basic, and the game's more challenging using him. Everyone else has an unfair advantage. Tails can fly all the way across the stage and get to all the things that the other characters can't reach. Amy has a double jump that allows her to hit bosses' weak points super duper easily. Knuckles can climb the walls. You know what I'm saying? So, basically, everything about that game, if you try to use the characters, it's too easy. It's like, if you're not good at the game with Sonic, then you pick another character to make it easier so you can pass by. And during my playthrough, I'm alternating the characters because I want variety. And by the end of the playthrough, I'm like, dude, it actually made it even easier than it should have been. It's ridiculous. They should have explained that. Say Sonic's the default experience, but if you want to try different ways to beat the stages, try the other characters. They didn't ever say that. But here's the thing, okay? It's about 5 to 6 hours long. That was about the length of Sonic Mania. The difference was that Sonic Mania was like a $40 game, wasn't it? Was it 40 at launch or was it 30? It was much cheaper. And when you have a game that's the same length, okay, better visuals, but a bunch of steps backward in the gameplay elements. This game felt slow. It felt sluggish. All the characters feel like they don't respond as well as they did in Sonic Mania. It really did feel like there was a delay when you're actually playing the game, trying to get your character to respond to what you're doing. So a lot of quick platforming jumps and things are actually quite difficult in the game. Okay? If your momentum gets stifled playing Sonic Superstars, it feels like you went down to to a crawl like a slug, right? And now it's like, now what do I do, right? I got to try to speed back up, and especially when you're in the heat of a boss fight or whatever, you could instantly die. So, for me, all right, I thought the visuals were the best, and everything else was a step back. So why are you selling a game in 2023 that literally is a step backwards from what you sold 5-6 years ago in Sonic Mania? It doesn't fly. I'm not saying, again, that Sonic Superstars is a terrible game, all right? I'm not saying that at all. It's a passable Sonic game, but you're not looking for a passable game for a $60 price tag in 2023. If this game was sold for $30, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. It's a discount game. It is what it is. But you sold it for full price. That game is incredibly overpriced for what it is. It looks absolutely ridiculously overpriced and does not have the value that the game developers thought it did. Like, I think what they're thinking is, you're going to be addicted to the game. You're going to play through it once, and you're going to want to go through and play it again. I don't have no desire to go play that game ever again. There was a couple stages, the pinball stage, the retro stage. I like the desert stage where you're riding a snake. There's like 3 stages in the whole game I liked. The rest were kind of meh, kind of uninspired. A few of them were just a fucking chore to get through. They weren't fun in any way. They were just annoying. And that's not good. You want stages to be memorable, not annoying. So, this really begs the question. And I don't know if anyone even has the answer to this. I got to propose this question to all of you out there who are watching this podcast right now. Why didn't they just have the team that made Sonic Mania make another one? I mean, if they made Sonic Mania 2, don't you think we would have been happy with that, right? Even if it was on par with the original Sonic Mania, I think I would have liked that much better than Sonic Superstars. So why did they have a completely different dev team make this game? And where is the Sonic Mania team? What are they doing? They made a great game. Have them continue to make good games, right? I mean, am I right? What happened? Sonic Mania team is making their own new game. What game? Like, what? Why? They made an insanely great game. Why not have them make another? I'm just at a loss here. I really am. Like, I don't even understand what Sega was thinking. Let's have another team make the game. What are you, fucking stupid? It just doesn't make sense to me at all. So, yeah, all I have to say is I'm disappointed. It's a complete ripoff. If you want to play Sonic Superstars, more power to you. But my recommendation is wait for that game to drop to a $20 price tag. Then it's about the correct value. Okay? There's nothing whatsoever in that game that's worth $60. That is one of the biggest rip-off price tags I've ever seen in a video game. I beat it in 2 effing streams. I'm about to play Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Guarantee you those games will have way more content than Sonic Superstars did, and they're arguably the same price, right? So, I would not bother with that game. I'm disappointed. I hope that they do better in the future. I don't want to see Sonic now get set back because of this. Because Sonic Frontiers last year was a great game that was a good step in the right direction. It certainly wasn't polished enough, and it had a bunch of empty and repetitive areas by the end. And I felt like that if they continue with that formula and they make those universes more interesting, more populated, more polished, that 3D franchise can do really well. I don't want to see Sonic now overall get hurt by this bad outing. You know what I'm saying? I really hope, really hope that it doesn't continue in this direction. All right, we'll see though. So anyway, that was Sonic Superstars. What a stinker and what a disappointment. I was hyped for it, and man, it stunk. Starfield. Oh my god. All right, without spoiling, because many of you maybe have not been following my Starfield playthrough. You know, went on hiatus for a couple weeks, then came back, then went on hiatus, then came back again. Well, for those of you who do know what happens in the story, we did hit that point. We hit the point in the story where now everything is kind of revealed. There's going to be more plot points revealed soon, I believe. But pretty much the big twist in the story has been revealed. And everyone seemed to have a different reaction to it the other night. I think is, for me to fully criticize it, I will spoil it. And I really don't want to spoil it for everyone, especially if you're not watching the playthrough right now. You might have no idea what I'm talking about and be like, oh shit, what's he talking about? Yeah, we hit a giant plot point the other day that completely changed the storyline. And now the storyline is going in a direction that I never foresaw. And quite frankly, again, without spoiling, it's making me rethink the entire way that I approach the game. You know, like I had a plan set. My plan was, I'm going to advance the story a bunch because we haven't done the story in a while. But then I want to go back and I want to do the other remaining 2 factions. One's called Ryujin and one is the Crimson Fleet, right? And they each have their own faction quest lines, similar to how we did Freestar Collective and the Vanguard. And then I wanted to join in with the companions, because the companions have their own quest lines that they require you to do. And I figure if I have my companions with me during those factions, they'll unlock their quest lines. We can do their unique quest lines and all of that. And then I would basically continue with the story and finish the game. But, again, without spoiling, it's hard to explain this without spoiling. Now that I see where the plot is going, I don't even know if I should invest that amount of time into it. I'm curious what you guys think, but all I can say is if you guys could let me know, but only talk about it in vague terms or leave comments on the playthrough itself. All right? Because I don't want people to be spoiled on this crazy plot. Because it really did surprise me. I did not think that's what the plot was going to be. Yes, it did surprise me. I didn't expect that. So I don't want that to be ruined. I want people to genuinely have some feeling of like awe or wonder when it happens. Like, oh my god, I didn't realize that's what it was, right? But I don't know what to do now. Like Starfield, I was planning on playing it more as chill night streams and balancing it with everything else. But now I'm debating, should I invest the time into it that I was going to, or should we just finish the main plot and wrap it up and that's the end? Because we could do that too. Like from what people are telling me, probably 4 to 6 hours left of the story, the main story, and then the game ends. And so, should I just finish it then? And just say, leave it at that? And say, okay, at least we saw the end of the main story, and I did do a good amount of the content, but we're moving on? I don't know. See, what sucks about this is I can't give you my full thoughts about the game until we wrap up the playthrough. And then I feel like then when it's done, then I can kind of spoil. But I don't want to spoil. The game's only, what, a month and a half old? And yeah, this is at this point, especially for a game this length, basically, you know, this plot, it could still be a major plot spoiler for me to talk about this stuff. You see? So some people are saying wrap it up, the game is boring. Others are basically, like, I know there's been people during the playthrough who are like, no, you should definitely put more time into it because you're going to miss out on certain things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about it. I am sad that I don't feel like it lives up to the expectations that everyone had for it. Everyone was expecting that Starfield was going to be its big new universe. And the best way to criticize Starfield, okay, is the following. I think this is the best way to show how the true criticism can strike Starfield, okay? Well, I said this the other day. Let's say it again. It's worth reiterating. When you think of the world of Elder Scrolls, what iconic things are synonymous with the world of Elder Scrolls, right? Whoa, well, there's this cool RPG fantasy element, all the unique races, all the different kinds of elves and the Nordic people that are in there, and you know, the combat, the first-person combat that can be kind of, you know, hand-to-hand, but then you got magic and things like that. You know, these cool races like the Daedric lords and demons and things that are part of the lore of the universe. In some games, you've got dragons, and sometimes you got the Dwemer with the robots from the freaking dwarves, right? So you can think Elder Scrolls and all of these cool, unique elements pop right into your head. All these things that are unique to Elder Scrolls. Oh, that's cool, right? So now do that with Fallout. What do you think when you think of the Fallout universe that Bethesda has created? Oh my God, it's the apocalypse and how technology is funny because it's like old style technology combined together to somehow become like futuristic and modern. Radiation, ghouls, super mutants, bottle caps, vats, monstrous mutations, right? I could keep going on, right? We could keep going on, but all those things are so synonymous. And every time you hear Fallout, you think about all of those things. It's a really cool universe to jump back into, right? So I'm 40 hours in the Starfield. What comes to mind that's notable or iconic when you say Starfield? Shooting stuff in space? A bunch of inventory shit? Because the truth is, there is literally nothing unique or iconic about Starfield, and that's the problem. There's literally not a single thing in that game that is unique. It's all stuff that's been done before. It's all stuff that was lifted from other places. It's their version of it. But even when you think about enemies, you could think about the different enemy types that are in Elder Scrolls or the different enemy types that are in Fallout. What about the enemies in Starfield? Pirates, spacers, ecliptic. Wait a minute, they're all the fucking same. Yeah, the vast majority of everything in the game is very samey. It's taken from other things. There's nothing unique. And that's the problem with Starfield. When you're creating a unique universe or a unique piece of intellectual property, you want to create a world full of its own lore and its own interesting stuff. Sadly, the world of Starfield doesn't really have that. They have lore, it's just not that interesting. Most of the enemies look identical. They're not that interesting. The combat is literally the same thing the entire game. Pick up a game and shoot something that's in front of you. That's the game. It's just not interesting. And that's sad. They spent how many years developing that game? And that's what they came up with. Something that's samey compared to everything else you've already played. Nothing that stands out or feels completely unique, and certainly not a universe. Unlike, again, Elder Scrolls or Fallout, whenever I jump back into one of those playthroughs, welcome back. Here we go. We're surrounded by the same elements, and it's fun to immerse yourself back into the lore of those worlds. There's nothing like that in Starfield that's interesting or unique at all. And I can compare this. You want to know the difference? Compare this to the first time you ever played a Mass Effect game. And immediately when you start playing Mass Effect, you're immediately just immersed in this world of all these different races, right? The Turians, the Solarians, the Krogan, the Geth, the freaking Protheans, the unique technology of that world, all these new elements and things that you need to learn that are part of the lore and the culture of Mass Effect. There's none of that in Starfield. Zero. There's no immersion in a world because it feels boring and generic. And that's the problem. So, I hate to say it, but I'm very sad with Starfield. I thought it would have been way better. I hoped it would. I was skeptical, because all the things that we had seen about this game made me lead to believe that it was going to either be make or break for Bethesda. It was either going to be amazing or not so good. And we didn't get a horrible game, and we didn't get a great game. We kind of got a very blah, the cultural term, right, is mid. It's just mid. It is. It's not awful, but it's not great. Is it worth your time? Well, if you're looking for a game to sink a ton of time into and explore, but, that's what you're looking for, a time waster game, then it's probably your game. But outside of that, what else is there to really say about it, right? I don't know. It's mid. Okay. So anyway, that's that about the current games I'm playing. Now let's talk about today's double new release day. Let's talk about the schedule for the week, and then we'll get to shout-outs because many of you have contributed, and obviously I want to give you thanks and get the leaderboards updated. So shall we begin? All right. Today is an exciting day. First stream, we are checking out Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I can't believe that's what they called it. We all know it should have been called Spider-Man. There's two men who are both Spider-Man in one game. It's Spider-Man. But they decided to call it Marvel's Spider-Man 2. It doesn't make sense. Even the PlayStation Twitter account tweeted out Spider-Man. I'm not shitting you. I retweeted it last night. I said that's why the game should be called Spider-Man. But they dropped the ball. Instead, it's Marvel Spider-Man 2. It's dumb, and it's very generic. It could have been Spider-Man. And then from then on, when someone says Spider-Man 2, well, do you mean Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 1? Do you mean Spider-Man 2, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2? Or do you mean Marvel Spider-Man 2? Are you talking about the Spider-Man movies? Which one? The Tobey Maguire trilogy? Are you talking about Far From Home? No. If you called it Spider-Man, no one would confuse it for anything else. It's a unique name. It fits the game. It's exactly what the game's about. Two men, both spiders, Spider-Man. Name it that. What the fuck's your problem? But no, we gotta be boring. It's gotta be Marvel Spider-Man 2. Anyway. So that's what it's called. I'm excited for it. The one complaint that everyone seems to be having is that right now the game is having some bugs. Like some weird glitches and issues. But they're not like game breaking. And people have said if you just reload, it'll fix it. But people are hoping that they are going to patch it and fix some of these glitches and bugs. They think that they are kind of immersion breaking when they happen. But outside of that, most people are absolutely loving the game, basically saying that it's the culmination of everything that they've done. You know, the original Spider-Man game and then Miles Morales expansion. It has all that stuff. Plus a piece of hair in my mouth. Ugh. Plus more. Like, it's that plus. So it's an improved version of those games with some added new things. Right? There you go. So, Jay Dennis says, well, what should Spider-Man 3 be called? Return of the Spider-Man. See that? It's another unique name, and no one would confuse it. Spider-Man, Return of the Spider-Man. There you go. But don't ask me anything. Don't ever ask Darkside Phil for advice. Because everything I do and say is awful. Trust me. Anyway. Spider them? Well, there you go. What if they have the feet? What if Spider-Gwen? So what if it's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Gwen? Then you can call it the Spider-Them. Or the Spider-3. Yeah. Spider-Men or the Spider-3. Oh, no. Or you call it the 24-leg takedown. Because 3 spiders, each has 8 legs. So 24 legs, the 24-leg, forget it. Anyway, excuse me. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. This will be the main stream for today. All right. 3 hours of Marvel Spider-Man 2. And I can't wait to see how it starts. And obviously this is going to be an ongoing playthrough I'm going to do for a few weeks here. And I'm pumped. People are saying baseline story 20 hours. If you do the side content, 30 hours. Like 30 hours to basically platinum the game. And I can see that. That's about on pace with Marvel Spider-Man 1, if you remember. I platinumed Marvel Spider-Man 1. I did it all. And it was a little tedious at the end, I'm not going to lie. But that was one of my few platinum trophies I ever got on PS4. Because I liked the game so much. So I guess we'll see how it goes today. Let's find out. Now, tonight on the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss it. It's not Friday Night Fights this week. Usually on Friday nights, I do Friday Night Fights, correct? We're not doing Friday Night Fights this week. Why? We're passing that up. Because it's a double new release day. We got to focus in on the new games, right? So it's going to be Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'm excited. If this really is the spiritual successor, i.e. really the sequel to Super Mario World, and it plays like that, I'm absolutely going to love this game. The one bummer is that I don't really have a good D-pad controller for the Switch. In fact, let me show you the controller I'm going to use for this. So this is the Hori Fuck pad. No, it doesn't have a name on it. I bought this Hori gamepad for the Switch many, many years ago because the Joy-Cons are terrible. I hate them. They're just not, they don't work very well. And then I bought the Pro Pad, and the Pro Pad's D-pad is faulty. So the Pro Pad's D-pad doesn't work right either. So I was like, dude, I need something that's going to have a D-pad that works. So just to show you how weird this pad is. All right, so this is it. Okay, see Hori, says right on it, Hori. But watch this. So here's your D-pad, right? Yeah, fuck that. Rip that shit right off. The D-pad is actually 4 buttons. And then what you have is a detachable D-pad. See that? Normally you would store it on the back of the controller, like right here. Okay? But then you can remove it. And you can put it on the front. And now you got a standard D-pad. Okay? Now, it's not the best, but at the same time, it's better than the pad on the Pro Pad, and it's better than the pad on the Joy-Con. So, this is what I'm going to be using to try to play Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I hope it's good enough. Like, I'm going to be disappointed if I'm trying to play a Mario game and the D-pad sucks. So, hopefully it's good. I guess we're going to have to see. Alright. But anyway, yeah. So, D-pad. Trigger says he owns this controller and his left thumbstick got fucked up. I haven't ever really used the controller that much. I remember I used it for a bit, but not too much. So, I think it should be fine. We're going to be using this for Mario Brothers Wonder. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, I guess we'll have an issue. But we'll have to figure this out. So that's what I'm using for Super Mario Brothers Wonder tonight. So I'm excited. If it plays like Mario World, I'm going to love it. I've heard many good things about the game. I've heard varying different reports. Some people say it's 10 hours long. Some people say it's 12 hours long. And some people say it's 15 hours long. That's an interesting discrepancy. I don't know where the extra 5 hours come from. For me, as you know, I'll take my time with the game. I'm going to look for secrets. I'm going to try to get all the collectibles. In these Mario games, usually there's like optional coins and things to get. I'm going to try to get them. You know, I'm going to try to do all that. If there's a secret world, I want to unlock the secret world. I want to play, if it's like Mario World, you'll probably have secrets upon secrets, right? Maybe multiple ways to go through the game. I would love that. So, I guess we'll see. Okay. Oh. So that's tonight, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. Please come back and chill with me in the world of Mario Wonder. Now, tomorrow, all right, we're going to start my second playthrough of Sonic Superstars. So, all day tomorrow, all I'm doing is playing Sonic Superstars. We're canceling all the current playthroughs of new hot games just to go back and do a second run in Sonic Superstars, because that's what the game devs intended us to do, right? No, we're not doing that. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to flip today's streams, all right? So, it's going to be Super Mario Brothers Wonder on the first stream tomorrow, and it's going to be Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on the second stream tomorrow. Sorry, I really want to call it Spider-Man. Okay, so it's going to be a flipping of today's stream. So between today and tomorrow, each game will get about 5 or more hours of gameplay on my premiere streams here. All right. Now, Sunday is the day to break it up, because on Sunday, it's going to be my React show, DSP versus the Internet, over on DSP Reacts. And then Sunday night, I think I want to do a stream of Street Fighter 6, but I'm on the fence. I actually would really like to do more World Tour. After having played it last week, we're actually getting into the end game of the World Tour. We might actually beat it if I play World Tour 1 or 2 more times, and then we can say we completed it and saw how it ended. So I think I might want to do that. But the thing is, when I played World Tour, a lot of people gave me problems. They were like, oh, this is boring. Oh, why are you playing this? Ah, World Tour. Well, yeah, I want to finish it. We put 15 hours into it. I have a character that looks like me, who wears a sombrero and has stretchy arms like Dalsim. It's been a fun playthrough, honestly. And I like that late night chill stuff we do too. Okay? And I would like to finish it. So I think I want to do that Sunday night. And I guess people aren't going to show up, and they're gonna complain, and they're not going to support, and they're going to be very mean to me. Well, I guess that's just life. I guess I just have to put up with that. I don't know what else to say, because I really do want to play World Tour again this week, and I want to see how far we can get close to finishing it, if not finish it. Okay? Then what I'm going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be a balance. It'll be a balance between Spider-Man and Mario. If we feel like breaking it up a bit and maybe doing a couple night streams of like Starfield or whatever, then we can do that. All right? But that's what I'm thinking for the week. All right? Now, 1 week from today, there is another new release that I'm very excited for, and the name of that new release, indeed, is Alan Wake Dose. Alan Wake Dose. Very excited for Alan Wake Dose. It's been over a decade since the original Alan Wake Uno, and I want more. We've been waiting over a decade to see if Alan would ever get out of the lake that is an ocean. And he's probably very wet at this point. If he's still in that lake, can you imagine how soaked he is? His body must be... Like, when you go into, like, the shower for, like, 20 minutes, like, if you're in there for a long time, you know how your fingers start to prune up? Can you imagine what Alan Wake looks like being in that lake for over 10 years? He needs desperate attention at this point. He's going to need, like, skin rejuvenation. So, I'm very excited for Alan Wake 2 next week. By the way, it's a horror game. It's got 2 protagonists you switch between. It sounds really interesting. So I'm excited, and I hope that you guys are too. And that's going to be added into the rotation starting next Friday and likely be a big focus of next week since it is Halloween Horror Week. Speaking of which, remember that I'm doing a Halloween Marathon event on Tuesday, October 31st, all day long here on DSP Gaming. I'll be dressed up in attire, a cool Halloween costume that I got to prepare for this event, and it is pertinent to stuff that I've done on this channel, so I think you're really going to like that costume. Plus, we're going to play a variety of games that you're picking. Right now, the members have already selected the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you can vote on what games you'd like to see during this event by typing !Halloween into the chat right now. Or if you're not on the chat right now, if you check out the community tab of this channel, you'll see that I put up a poll last week, and that poll has a bunch of games listed, 5 in particular. Please vote on the ones you want to see during the event, and we're probably going to play 3 games total. Plus, there's going to be a fun tier maker ranking Halloween horror franchises. Plus, we're going to do a live feasting with Phil where I order food and we eat together. Plus, I'll probably have some booze. It's going to be a really fun day. Hoi! Okay. I think I'm ready to do shout-outs. On the YouTube side of things, we start off today, excuse me, with K-Styles1998 re-upping his membership for a whopping 29 months at the Ultra Supporter level. Thank you so much, K-Styles, for the ongoing support. Jack, re-upping his membership for 19 months. I'm Back Beaches. Have you seen The Boys on Amazon Prime? No. I've seen some of it. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was a really disgusting belch that came out of nowhere. I didn't even feel it until it was coming. And then I tried to turn away from the mic, but I don't know if I did. I'm really sorry, everybody. I apologize. So, I've seen some of it, but I've never actually watched the full show. If The Boys is getting a season, 12 or whatever it is, that's coming out, I likely will try to watch it and get caught up so I can watch the new season and review it for you guys. All right? So, I don't know when it's coming out, but when it comes out, I'll probably watch it, okay? God of Frogs became a member this morning. Thank you to the God of Frogs. Richie Dubs became a member this morning. Thank you, Richie Dubs. I Like Ike became a member this morning. Thank you, I Like Ike. SMR Tad 2086 re-upping his membership at the Super Supporter level for 23 months. Says, I'm excited for this one, including the symbiote suit is interesting. The last time it was in a video game was Shattered Dimensions, and in a movie was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. That is all correct. Mr. Game Master did a super chat this morning. Thank you so much. Let's get him on the leaderboard here. He says, I went to GameStop to buy Spider-Man 2. Insomniac said on Twitter, all the data is on the disc. I will watch your playthrough when I'm done. Wait, what? They said all the data is on the disc. So what about all the patches that they need to put into the game? Because everyone's saying the game is buggy. Is that on the disc? No, I don't think so. You're going to need an internet connection for that, bro. Just so you know. Thank you for the super chat. Abdullah, re-upping his membership for 12 months. And he says he's 6 hours into Spider-Man 2 and he's never going to give you up. Well, there you go. Sounds good. And Mr. Game Master with a second super chat. Alan Wake 2 will be 20 hours long. It has been confirmed by Remedy. 20 hours for a thriller horror game is not bad at all. I just hope that it holds up. And what I mean by that is Alan Wake 1 starts very strong. You got a supernatural horror element. You've got a spooky mystery story. Halfway through, it's still pretty good. But once it gets to around its final third, it starts to feel like too samey. There's too much of the same kind of stuff going on. And honestly, you know, the final story beats at the end, you kind of feel like you just want it to end. It kind of seems like it's dragging on too long. I hope that's not what happens with Alan Wake 2. I mean, you got two characters to play as. Supposedly two completely different styles of gameplay as well. One is more like the original gameplay of Alan Wake 1, and another is a completely different horror-themed world that plays differently, supposedly. So, I'm excited for that, and I hope that you guys are too. And I hope that it's good. 20 hours sounds good to me for a horror game. So, alright, now we flop over. We flip and we flop all over the place, like a fish out of water. And we start off today with some tips. We've got a $6.04 tip from Declan. Thank you very much to Declan for a $6.04 tip. Excuse me. I don't know what the significance is of that amount. But let's get a nice animation going. There we go. There we go. There we go. Did it play? Finally. Thank you, Declan, for the tip. And Declan says, your content brings a lot of happiness to so many people. I hope that you realize that. Please ignore any detractors. Keep being you, and thanks for everything. I watch your Sonic videos. I am really disappointed at how cheap and low grade the game is. I don't think it's low grade. No. Again, I got to reiterate what I said this morning. Okay? Sonic Superstars is not a bad game. It functions. It has, you know, working stages with unique elements in them. The graphics are actually the best of any 2D Sonic game I've ever seen. The problem is, it literally feels like a step back from Sonic Mania. When you are advancing a franchise, every iteration should be something better or different. That game does not feel better or different. It feels like they actually went backwards. So that's the problem for me. And by the way, it's insanely overpriced. If they charged more money for a game that wasn't as good as the last one, that's a problem. Okay? Thank you for the tip. Continuing on. Guitar Player has tipped me $5 5 dinero. 5 rubles. Right? 5 rupees. Thank you very much, Guitar Player. He says the following. Sometimes I don't like the state of modern gaming. Some people get to play Spider-Man 2 several days early. I have to wait till 11 p.m. yesterday to play it. The state of modern gaming is thus. Alright? If you kiss ass, you get everything ahead of time and you get everything free. But you have to completely kiss ass and play the game. I could have done this years ago. In fact, to give you a little bit of background, when this practice was becoming very prominent on YouTube, and when a lot of YouTubers started to be in the approved content creation community circles. You might say, what does that mean? By the way, it's getting brighter outside, so I'm going to close my blinds a little bit. Hold on. So, when I started as a YouTuber, 15 years ago, no one got anything early. Everyone had to go buy games, play them for themselves. Everyone had an equal playing field. Everyone had an equal chance to get their hands on a game at the same time and all of that. The only people who got early copies back then were people who actually worked for media outlets. Like if you worked for IGN, if you worked for GameSpot, well, you're a journalist, right? So now you'll get the game early, you'll play it, and you're not able to post up public content of it. You can only post it through your approved journalistic medium. So if you work for IGN, you can only post up your content through IGN, and that's your job. And even then, they had embargoes, they had all kinds of stuff going on, correct? Then all of a sudden, I would say it was about 6-7 years ago, all right? I had been living here in Washington for a couple of years, and I had actual dialogue with several people in the industry at the time. And they were basically like, Phil, things are changing. What's going to end up happening, you're going to find now, is that these companies now want to work with content creators. But if you want to be on the approved list of content creators, you got to play the game. Well, what does that mean? It means every time that there's a major game you're interested in, you need to put out the feelers to all these PR reps and companies and explain who you are and show your channel and how many viewers you get and how many subs you have and explain that you like a certain style of game and that you feel like you have a positive spin on it. And basically what will happen is, as long as you schmooze the right people and you kiss the right butts, all right, you'll be put onto the approved list of content creators. And then you're going to get opportunities all the time. You're going to have companies reaching out to you saying, hey, we'd like to give you a free copy of the game 2 weeks early, and you'll have embargoes around it. You won't be able to say whatever you want about the game. You won't be able to review it early. You won't be able to criticize it. But we'll allow you to do like a special stream day where you can stream the game exclusively early on your channel to give it some free representation, right? You'll get a copy. You'll be able to put out your review way before anyone else does. You'll be on that approved list, right? So, did I look into it? I did a little bit. There was a couple people I talked with, but essentially every time that I looked into it, it came down to the following, okay? You have to constantly be positive. You can't really be negative, all right? If you have negative things to say, you have to hold your tongue, all right? If you're playing a game at release, like right now, Spider-Man 2. If I got an advanced copy of Spider-Man 2, all right, and I was gifted the ability to play it early, I'd be under what's called a review embargo, because reviews for this game weren't allowed to come out until like 2 days ago. So anyone who streamed this game before then literally was told by Sony or whoever, you cannot criticize the game because that's a review. And the review embargo is later. So you can play it, but all you can do is play it and comment generic stuff. You cannot review this game until that review embargo lifts. So anyone you saw stream this game early had to abide by those rules. Now, they could have broken them, but if you break the rules, you're not playing the game, and what happens is those companies no longer will consider you on the approved list of content creators. You won't get the games early. You won't be invited to the special press events. You won't get any input given into the game development cycle, and you're basically kicked out, and you just do whatever you want, but don't contact us ever again. You're on your own. So, that is exactly how it goes in the industry, okay? If I were a butt kisser, years ago, I would have reached out to these companies, and I would have been on that list, and I would have basically today been a bunch of different content creator. Really. Like, I would have been playing games like exclusive early streams. I would have been going to special events, invited to events, to attend the launch party for this game and talk about it and give you a hands-on experience of the game early. But you would notice that almost everything that I say about a game is positive. Almost every word out of my mouth. Because that's what they want. They're essentially paying for free press through early access. If I played Spider-Man 2 a few weeks early, I'd probably get more attention on my content for it. And I'd probably make a lot of extra money doing it. Hence, even though there's no written contract expressly saying you must kiss our game's butt, that's essentially what the vicious cycle creates. Whenever you're getting exclusive access, you're getting exclusive opportunity to do something that benefits you early, you are going to have to be more positive about it, because if you're negative, you get kicked out of that process and you won't get it again. So anytime that you see someone playing a game early, you can't trust them. I'm sorry, that's just the case. You can never trust someone who gets an early advanced copy of the game, because their whole cycle is based on being positive to get the next copy of the next game. Okay? So, I'm sad that this is how the industry has become, but that's just how it is right now. That's literally it. So, you're right, guitar player. There were people playing this game a week ago. And every single one of them, even if they're not an outright paid shill for the game, maybe there was no contract they signed that says you must play it like this and you'll get paid extra money to do this. Every one of them benefited from playing it early, and every one of them had to be overly positive, because if not, they probably won't get that favorable treatment next time. It's a vicious cycle. So it's this simple. If you don't like that process, if you think that doesn't sound right, why do certain people get selected to get the special treatment? Why are they the ones who get it early? Why do they, they kiss butt essentially for personal gain? That's correct. That's literally correct. So anyone you see that's like that, if you disagree with that, you have the ability to pick and choose who you watch and who you support on this planet. Correct? And if you see the person who's already a million fucking view YouTuber, rolling in dough, already making out prominent, all of a sudden now they're getting all these opportunities, and the cycle continues, break the cycle. Don't watch them. Don't support them. Watch people who you do support, who you know will be honest with you, right? And even if it means that they play the game much later than everybody else who got it early, that's who you should be watching and supporting if that's what you stand for. You have to take a stand against this kind of stuff, because the entire content creation industry will become people who are just paid advertisements if you allow it to. You have to stick up for what you believe in and what you like, the quality of the stuff that you want. You should support those people. All right? And it's not, and by the way, no, this is not just me saying support me. There are tons of people like me that are small time, that are honest, and they deserve your attention and support far more than anyone out there who's a millionaire getting paid to shill every fucking product, you know? It makes me sick to my stomach to see the very dishonest people get all the success. It does. That's fucked up. That's a fucked up industry, but that's like everything. That's every entertainment industry's always been like that. Okay? Television, music, movies, it's always the same, and now video games have become that. So you just got to deal with it. All right? It's a sad fact. You got to support the honest people, you know? So go for that, and I say ignore the shills. Don't give them your time and attention. That's all I can say. Support the people who you like, who stand for what you believe in, and don't support the people who already are. You know what they say? The rich get richer. It's true. Once you get to that level of you're the supported creator by every company likes you, that's it. From now on, you're the one who gets everything. There's companies out there, I don't even know how they got prominent. I don't remember them ever being talked about in a prominent way. Yet all of a sudden, they're a prominent, source for gaming news. They're a prominent content creator who gets all the opportunities. Who the fuck were they? They came out of nowhere. Now, all of a sudden, they're in everything and everyone talks about them. What are you talking about? How did that happen? Gee, I wonder why. They were hand-selected by people in the industry to be the figures of gaming that they want to push out there. The representatives for their products and their companies. This is how the cycle works. Okay? Okay. Let's continue. I received $1.11 tip saying I'm a hoarder because I had recycling in my garage. Excuse me, not recycling, styrofoam in my garage. You're right. I purposefully hoarded all that styrofoam for years. I love it. I can't let it go. I love styrofoam. I love the smell. I love the feel. I love crunching it in my hands. I like squishing it between my toes. I am a styrofoam aficionado, and that's why I had that much styrofoam in my garage. Or I'm a busy guy who has no fucking time to go to this special place to discard the styrofoam because I have a life. You know, it's one of those two. Well, you figure it out for yourself, though. Okay, thanks for the dollar tip, though. Okay. BITW Awesome says, how and why did I go to E3 2012 but not any other year before or after? Did you watch my Machinima React event from earlier this year? I literally explained the entire thing from start to finish. So go check that out. That's over on my YouTube channel, DSP Reacts. I did a whole marathon about it. A giant, hour-plus segment was about the E3 thing with Machinima. That was my partner company at the time. And, I think you'll get some really interesting insight into how the industry worked over a decade ago if you watch that. Go give that a look, but I'm not going to sit here and tell the whole story again. Well, guys, we have a little bit of extra time. I don't want to go super late on the podcast today, but we have a couple opportunity for a couple questions quickly. Thank you, Clyde Baxter, for upping your membership for 7 months. A shout out to Derek Willow 672, the Holy Trinity. There you go. What's up, Juan? Good to see you here today. Let me guess, Juan. It's 15 days to your birthday. Am I right? Bebo says, with Persona 3 on the Reload on the way, will there be a revenge story? If there is, it ain't coming soon. Because Persona 3 Reload is releasing between Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm not playing it then. I'd much rather play Infinite Wealth and Rebirth. I don't care about a rebooted Persona 3 at this point. So I might eventually get to it, but it ain't going to be when it's a new release. I'll be busy with other stuff. What's up, Radical Jaws? Good to have you here. He says, I'm excited for Mario. Then you're on the wrong stream. Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man. Mario's tonight. I'm excited for Mario, too. I'm excited for both. So, there you go. It's 14 days till his birthday. I was off. Shit. JDTV says, in a certain way, you're like Angry Joe giving honest reviews. I like that. Over the years, a ton of people have made that comparison. I don't even review games anymore, or I used to. And people used to say that my reviews used to be on par with Angry Joe's. The difference is that Angry Joe always did these big, high production value reviews with skits and costumes and scripted comedy, and I never did that. I was just some guy talking to the camera about a game. So that was the big difference between the two of us. I like the fact that people like my honesty around games, but you know, I don't know about Joe anymore. I've literally never watched a single review of what the guy's done. From what I'm to understand, he's a very hard worker. He puts a ton of time and effort into his reviews, and he has a community of people who love him. So good for him. Good hard work that paid off to a success story, and the fact that he's still able to put out content today that people watch and enjoy is a great thing. There's a guy that he's still doing the thing that he's done back in the day. He's still doing it today. Much like me, I'm still doing what I used to do. I never really changed or sold out or become a shill. And to my knowledge, he hasn't either. So good for him, right? Then again, maybe he is. I don't know, because I don't watch his content. But good for him. Okay. Let's see here. Sonic Super Shits to me $2. Says, I'm not going to spoil Mario. I've played through the first 5 levels. Man, there's something magical. I don't think you'll have the same issues with the game at all. I'm excited to be here tonight to see you play it and experience that magic for the first time. Sounds good. I'm excited for that. I'm all for that. Damn, the sun came out in a big way. Jesus, it's like a solar flare. Look at that. I don't have the blinds all the way closed, but my God, the sun came out. It's like I can't see. Did you see that? I gotta close the blinds even further. I can't even see. Whew. Okay. I closed them all the way. I was blinded by the light. Okay. Alright, guys. Any last minute questions here? No Sleep Real Vibes. I never played Sonic Mania. Should I buy it and give it a shot? If you like old school Sonic 1, 2, and 3, you will love Sonic Mania. It is definitely in vein with those games, and that's what it was going for. So that's what I would say. That's exactly what you should expect, and you will like it if you like that. I don't know anything about Skull Island Rise of Kong. Some of you have been mentioning this game in the last few days. I don't know what the fuck that is, and I have no time for that nonsense right now when I'm playing all these other releases. Sorry. Best 2D Mario game since Yoshi's World to Cypress. Well, I didn't even like Yoshi's Island. I know what you're talking about. Super Mario 2 Yoshi's Island. I felt like that was just a namesake drop, but it wasn't really Super Mario World 2. I want a game that plays like Super Mario World 2, so I hope this does. Is this a Christmas tree behind me? This is a Halloween tree. It's black and orange, okay? And you can just get the tree or you can decorate it. I actually have like this garland here with little like pumpkins and stuff on it. And I have the crow, the Nevermore Crow, Edgar Allan Poe. And I have a piranha plant monster, mutant, sitting with the tree. It's not a Christmas tree. Not every tree is a Christmas tree. Are you aware that there's actually trees on Earth that are not Christmas branded? You may not know that. But this is one of them right here. That's a Halloween tree. Thank you, Game Master, for a super chat. He says, Mario fans are eating good with Wonder and now RPG coming up as well. That is true. A Super Mario RPG remake is coming out in November. And that looks great. It looks like not only are the graphics updated, but they've redone the music. The actual original composer of the game has come back to recompose some of the music and better versions. And they've added new gameplay elements as well. There's actually new gameplay in the combat of Super Mario RPG Remake. So that's going to be exciting too, I agree. Do I have orange lights as Parasolo? I do. Various ones that I've had over the years. They just don't film well. I have these little orange string lights, and they look more white than orange on camera. I have little orange pumpkin lights, but I opted not to use them this year. Because this year's kind of a hybrid. We kind of got the retro gaming vibe on one side, along with the Halloween vibe on the other side, as like a combo, rather than it just being pure Halloween. Previous years, I always did pure Halloween, and this year I want to do kind of half and half. So... okay. Willow, of course I played the first Spider-Man game. A full playthrough. I literally just said moments ago I platinumed it. I absolutely loved platinuming it. Well, I platinum this one. I don't know. People are saying that it's 30 hours to platinum. I probably could, but it was kind of tedious at the end of the original Spider-Man game to do some of those random crimes that would happen in the city, and you had to do it in each borough a certain number of times, and it was time consuming to do. We got it done, but I don't know if it was really worth it. Like, who really cares about the platinum, right? So I guess we'll see what happens. What's my favorite NES Mario game? They're all good in their own right. They're all amazing. You know, Mario 1 is a harder game, but man, it laid down all the elements of future platformers. Mario 2, I only played the United States version, which is Doki Doki Panic. It's a completely different game, but it's actually a really great platformer with really interesting gameplay elements. And then Mario 3 is the culmination of the original Mario games, new graphics, new gameplay elements, you know. Everyone likes them all. I don't even know if I could choose. I like all three of them. I really do. Do I think achievement and trophy hunting is stupid or pointless? Do I like them? If it adds a new element to the game, because it allows you to maybe explore content and enjoy it at a different level. Like, for example, there's some games that have side content that in reality doesn't really add much, but then if there's like an achievement to do like 5 missions of it, so people would do it anyway just to get the achievement. So, I don't know. It really depends on your own experience. Do they really do anything? Of course they don't. No one, you know, no one's going to care that you're the guy who has the most achievement points. I know, because the guy who has the most achievement points, he posts up about it all the time, and it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying. But, you know, for bragging rights, or if you're someone who has an audience, like you're a streamer or a content creator, to say that you got a tough trophy or a tough achievement or whatever could be kind of nice, right? You know, I did that for the community. We toughed it out, and we climbed this mountain. We achieved this goal. Correct? Jade is wearing a Venom shirt today. Cool. I'm wearing my Mario shirt. I don't have any Spider-Man shirts, so I'm wearing my Mario shirt. Every day I play Mario Wonder. I have 3 Mario shirts. I have this one. I have the Mushroom Kingdom Pizza Delivery shirt, and I have the Abbey Road Mario shirt, right? I have 3. So I'm thinking I can kind of alternate between those on days that I'm playing Mario. Of course, then they got to hit the wash. But at least for these first few streams, I could probably wear a Mario shirt every day I play it. We'll see. I do not have a favorite trophy achievement. I already gave my opinion on the new PS5 models, I think last week on a podcast. So you guys are basically hitting me up on questions I've already very, very thoroughly discussed. JDTV says Diablo 4 Season 2 apparently pretty good. Can't wait to try, but I'm addicted to Call of Duty. Do you know if anyone's talking about, anyone on this planet is talking about Diablo 4 right now? Like, really? I hate to say it, but... Escanor says the guy who has Xbox Gamer Score... No, the guy who has the most Gamer Score has Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for life because of it. Oh, did they do that? Because I think he had gotten Xbox Gold for life because of it, but then they canceled it because Xbox Gold is done now. Now it's just Game Pass. They got rid of Gold. So he was like, oh, I guess it's done. Did they transfer over to him to Game Pass Ultimate instead? That's nice of them to do that, actually. Shout out to the following people who just got to get the membership from RAC. We've got Zen Shuriken, Ad the Gamer, Comet Frenzy, David D, and Goldfish. Congrats to the 5 of you. Thank you, RAC, for your support of the channel, and thank you for the gifted members. My hope here is that by the end of the month we can boost the members back, because we lost an insane amount of members in the last couple of weeks. But now that we're heading into all these great new releases, hopefully we can get some of those back now. The momentum, get the momentum going in the right direction, correct? I received a $20 tip. What the hell? Work. Finally. From 1 Minute Man. Thank you to 1 Minute Man for your very generous tip and your support once again of all of my content here on YouTube, no matter what I'm putting out or what I'm doing in a particular day. 1 Minute Man supports it all. I really appreciate that. Let's get a nice, delicious $20 animation for that tip. There we go. Love that head shrinking action. Thank you, 1 Minute Man. That'll get us up to 34 bucks in tips. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can't wait for honestly, I can't wait for Modern Warfare 3 to come out now. Because that beta gave me my competitive desire to play a FPS back, because it's all the maps from the original game that I love from 2009. Even though I know it's not going to play like that. I know it's not. But just at least for the initial hype of me playing those old maps again, I was doing well in the beta, right? I was actually kicking ass and getting Juggernaut summons multiple times. It was really fun. So I'm actually very much looking forward to that. So... Sorry to hear you have a stomach bug, Jade. He's going to meet the voice actors for Spider-Man soon. And Vega? Vega from Street Fighter? I don't even know who is his voice actor. Well, I'm glad to hear you're going to meet them. Is it Yuri Lowenthal? The voice actor for Spider-Man? I think that's his name. Yuri Lowenthal? I think. I could have that wrong. I could have confused, but I think that's the person's name. Darkside Chris says, what I honestly hate about the new Call of Duty, guns feel the same compared to the good old days. That's why you don't like it? Wait. He says, what I hate about the new Call of Duty, the guns all feel the same compared to the good old days. So you don't like the guns feeling like the old guns? I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know. I'm not one of these guys that's into Call of Duty so much that I can even tell. I just jump in and I play for silly fun and I have my fun and then we move on, right? Tales of Vesperia, they named the protagonist Yuri Lowell because they like Yuri Lowenthal so much. Seriously? What? I know all about the Civilization series, Enclave Soldier. I never really thought it would work for my audience. I didn't think that it would catch on. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't. I just never thought that people would enjoy it that much. No one's really asked for it, even though it's been on Game Pass and other things, I think, right? All right, last chance for a question, and we're going to go on a quick break for me to use the restroom before we jump into the Spider-Man 2. Right? The Spider-Man 2. Moxer's gameplay will start very shortly. Like I said, I'm finishing the podcast, going to use the restroom quickly, and then we're going to start. You miss how the guns used to be. Nowadays, they feel the same. I think old Call of Duty guns felt unique. So I see what you're saying, Darkside Chris. Okay. No game news again. Once again, nothing going on in the realm of game news. Like we talked about, the initial reviews for Spider-Man 2 and Mario are good, right? Outside of that, there's like nothing going on in the realm of game news recently, besides just talking generally about games. There's been no big updates or anything, so no gaming news segment because there's nothing to discuss. All right, guys. I think let's end the show so we can get into Spider-Man. I know people are dying for me to start with the game. Thank you. Good podcast today. Nice chill one. Lots to talk about. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow should be a great one because tomorrow I'm going to give you my initial impressions on both games, which I don't know what they're going to be right now. We're going to find out as I play today. So it's always a good podcast the day after a new release, and now we got two of them. So this should be very special. I hope that you guys will join me all day today if you can make it to the streams, and if not, you want to swing by tomorrow for a summary. I appreciate you all hanging out with me here today early on. Thank you all for everything. And it is now time for me to say Happy Halloween.